Hello, this is Brian. I just wanted to record this short video to look at what I think would be an interesting test case for if the Reclaim Idaho blanket primary ranked choice voting initiative were to pass. I want to look at District 15, the state Senate race. Of course, that was where Senator Fred Martin, the chairman of the Health and Welfare Committee, was challenged by Representative Cody Galloway in the Republican primary. This image is from Ballotpedia, which you should always check out. It's a great resource for election information. Anyway, in the primary, Cody Galloway defeated Fred Martin 53% to 41.2%. And that was great. Dorothy Greenzang, a Republican activist, got 5.8%. In the general election, Galloway went on to face Rick Just from the Democrats, and she fell just short. Sarah Clendenon of the Constitution Party got more than 400 votes, which was more than the margin between Just and Galloway. So you might think, well, perhaps ranked choice voting could have helped, because surely the second choice of Constitution Party voters would be the Republican, not the Democrat. However, remember, this isn't just ranked choice voting. This is a top four primary and then ranked choice voting in the general. So I did a little math and I made some assumptions just for the sake of argument. In the May 2022 primary, Cody Galloway got 3,668 votes, and so she was the top vote getter, though she did not get an outright majority. I'm putting the top four candidates from the entire primary together here, because that's what it would have been like if we had the top four primary. Of course, had that been the rules, it would have changed behavior. So again, we have to assume some things just to make this thought experiment work. So these are your top four. Notice that Sarah Clendenon is not even in the mix. She got 10 votes in the Constitution Party primary. So these are the four that would advance to the general election in November. Now what I did is I extrapolated using their percentages how much of the general election electorate would have voted for each candidate. Again, I completely understand that is an assumption. However, we have to work with what we have, in which case the percentages obviously work out the same. So under the ranked choice system, after the first round is tabulated, the lowest vote getter of the four, if nobody gets an outright majority, is eliminated. So Greenzang would be eliminated and her votes would be allocated to other candidates, assuming that her voters marked a second choice on their ballots. I don't know Dorothy Greenzang personally, but I've heard she's fairly conservative, so for the sake of argument, I assumed that for every 3 of her voters that went with Cody Galloway, 1 would go to Fred Martin. And that gives us these numbers. Galloway is still leading with 47%. She is very close to an outright majority, winning this race. Martin is in second, and Rick Just, I assume he doesn't get any of Dorothy Greenzang's votes. Again, elections are unpredictable. You never know what would actually happen, but this is just a thought experiment. However, here's the rub. What happens now that Rick Just is the third one left, and he is eliminated for round 3? Where do you think the Democrats' votes go? To Cody Galloway or to Fred Martin? I think it's a good assumption that a vast majority of those votes will go to Martin, the moderate, the one who thought vaccine mandates were a good idea. In the Alaska Senate race, when the Democrat was eliminated for their third round of ranked choice voting, 90% of those votes went to Lisa Murkowski, the moderate establishment Republican senator. So I assume the same thing happens here. I assumed that 90% of Rick Just's votes go then to Fred Martin, and 10% go to Cody Galloway. And that leaves us with Fred Martin winning the ranked choice voting election with 51.1%. Now, the folks behind Reclaim Idaho and the whole Idahoans for Open Primaries coalition and the leftist Republicans and Democrats who are supporting this, they can do math as easily as I can. So I think this is probably a good estimation of what they're intending to do with this scheme. It is a moderate establishment protection scheme.